You need a. It's Monday. It's your girl Candy K. Lynn.
And your boy Shouton Shaw.
I think you hit your knee. We're back.
I
We're
did.
back. We're back with part two. Pull up the podcast. We talk sports, news, and
Hip hop. Sometimes a little mess because Kenny Kaylin real mess. Don't talk about it because of my hand. My hand just
your
I'm ready to
head.
put
That's the reason why your daughter was on camera yesterday talking.
what
I
you
said
mean.
she was getting you told off. Like she was, her hand was going, her fist was about. I'm like, who is she talking to like that? She can't even talk good. She getting you, so she get that from you.
She she was doing something today. Man, her auntie they told her, no, stop doing that. Turn around. Stop, she turned around. She gonna say, but she can't hear it. What
Listen,
mess you got
y'all.
on the agenda today?
Listen. Well, the mess is gonna be that we're gonna have to get her on the episode because I feel like she'll talk to the viewers. I feel like she'll
Yeah.
talk to the people. The people will love her. So we may have to do an improv episode when I'm home just so that she can pull up on y'all. But no, today we are talking a little bit of history we haven't done in a while. We try to talk about things that are important in society when anniversaries come around. Not every year, so that every time you check us, every November 22nd, you're not getting the same information. But today we haven't talked about this, I think, in the 4 years of pull up, the assassination of JFK. Being that we are from the DFW area, former President John F. Kennedy, and we I'm an educator, so I hopefully if you're listening around the world, we're teaching you something new. If you weren't familiar with John F. Kennedy, former president of the United States of America, was assassinated in Dallas on this day in 1950. On this day in 1963. Um, and people are fascinated still with. You're giving us all our sound effects for the show because we can hear you every slurp. Every slur we heard. But people are fascinated with the assassination of the president. It's history. It's something that we will always talk about. It's something that will always be commemorated and remembered. And it happened in the D. Like,
Mm-hmm.
from way before we were born, right? 63
Way
was
before.
like, you know, 20 plus years before we were ever thought of. Like, but it was life changing and game changing. And the controversy that surrounds it being that the president at that time was the vice president at that time was from Texas. The vice
Who was the
president
vice president at that time?
LBJ was the vice president at that time.
Mm.
So there's all kind of conspiracy theories, and again, we live in council culture. I am trying to take my podcast to the next level, so I will keep some of my important thoughts to myself. But
Same.
it's always sad to just think about the fact that somebody, when we talk about we love America and we get these people that go on rants about an athlete taking a knee, to think that somebody, it's one thing to murder a black man, it's one thing to assassinate King, it's another thing for, somebody to assassinate Malcolm, which that was an inside hit also. It's another thing for two presidents of the United States of America to be assassinated.
Mm.
And Reagan was shot at as well. So when we talk about terrorism, it's just also always interesting to me what we categorize as terrorism. It's always interesting. We foreign terrorism is one thing, but domestic terrorism is another.
Mm-hmm.
And for a nation that's supposed to respect the office and love this land and the military, and
You
we were in
look to the
the
left. I thought somebody was running in and to counsel you. I thought they was going to turn y'all back here. I choose for disappear. Kid can't leave.
I
Gracie
don't know.
his location.
What are your thoughts?
Um, History was always one of them topics for me. It's like Malcolm and Morton is something I talk about. JFK, very monumental president. I the conspiracy they still don't believe they caught the right shooter, right? And you
Right.
know when anything dealing with the government, I never really know exactly what to say or not to say. All I will say is JFK had potential to be one of those, you know. I think he's doing. I think they feared the fact that he might speak for people that look like us, and they feared the fact that he might help empower us more and help give people like Malcolm and Martin, opportunity to speak more. Maybe he could have been a bridge, even though Malcolm would. It's not, you know. Sometimes they try to portray Malcolm as Malcolm wasn't against the white man. He was against any man being mistreated, right? It wasn't
Right.
about your color. It was about people being mistreated. So again, I think they feared the fact that he might have been someone who could get them both to listen, and then but they prevented. I'm not gonna say prevented, but they did. I always wonder why they killed him and didn't kill Barack, because I feel like that we would have rioted. I feel like they gonna lose if we kill him.
I think as the world
God,
changes,
sorry,
right?
y'all.
If you've ever
As the world
studied
turns, you
Kennedy,
ain't watched that show in forever.
as literally as the world turns, I think that we have to look at the fact of what Kennedy did do. Exactly what you said. Kennedy got those black supporters. Kennedy went out in black neighborhoods, and that is the time that blacks begin to start voting more Democratic, right? Because traditionally, for a lot, blacks did vote Republican. So Kennedy went door to door. Kennedy had those conversations, and the Kennedys were trying to do something different. Because John and Robert, were so. And the Kennedys are definitely people who have that, like, if you believe in the Bible and generational curses, the Kennedys definitely got some stuff, because they've John died in a plane crash. They've
Them and
had
the Von
tragedy.
Erichs.
Yeah, they've had tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. But I do believe what John was attempting to do, be it from his heart or the right thing politically to secure a victory, he did that. And after his death, the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act was able to go through, which made Lyndon LBJ look like the hero in the signing of that. So it's just a history lesson, right? And we touch
Conspiracy
on it
theory,
so.
she said LBJ did it.
No, I did not. I said it's a history lesson of what happened and what the facts are. He is a comedian. That's the disclaimer. Those are his jokes, okay? Do not come for us. we don't even talk about news anymore, because we don't know what we can say. You can't be funny. You can't talk history. You can't talk anything
Nah,
that
tell
makes
them the
people
truth. Tell them why
mad.
you don't talk about the news no more.
But
Joe Biden not as funny to you as President Orange was. Just say that. Say Joe
well,
Biden
it's
don't
just
make you laugh like President Orange do.
it's just, we stopped talking about him too, because cancel culture showed up, and the Q9, these will be at your door and in your email. And listen, I just wanna use my platform and the gift that God gave me and my talent. Okay, I don't care enough about politics to be arguing with y'all about politics, and those are facts. We don't care that much. There's so many other things that I would rather talk about. So I just kind of gave up on politics. I don't want to be a political commentator, because I don't want you people in my emails. We agree to disagree. Go read some books. I am not I got Bush down here. Bush 2. I got Hillary Clinton. I got JFK. So
Your mama,
go just get some
my mama
knowledge.
wanted me to be a politician. I just tell it's not for me, bro.
My attitude is too bad, because I'm gonna be rolling my eyes like our daddy be doing. I'm gonna be looking at y'all
I'm gonna
crazy
have
like,
dirt. I'm gonna be
what?
doing stuff. They gonna
Well,
be
that
like,
too.
"Oh, we gonna what Ted? You
Yeah,
got
like,
you bluffing the wrong one. I don't want
right.
to do this anyway. I'm here because
We
my mama.
we don't
Come on,
care. Like, listen, and
put me on camera. So yes, I was. And
I
got me
don't
stay out my
care.
business. So
Yeah,
what you
I
telling
don't
me is
care. No.
I can't be and the thing is people want to be control. You telling me I can't be a great man because I like to cheat on my wife? I can't
Well, and
take care of the
again,
city.
it's those things that no one cares. Like, right, JFK
Right.
was connected to Marilyn Monroe. The fact is, look at
Does
a
that
man for
prevent
what
you
he
from
did.
being a great person?
Look at what he did. Like, right, I could care less about that. If his wife not mad, I feel like people shouldn't be mad. But
Everybody not
there,
LeBron James.
there are allegedly he got dirty
Allegedly.
secrets too. Allegedly
See?
he
And
got dirty
again,
secrets too. And
and
again, We
You
are a
know how
show.
this
We
be.
are a podcast. We talk about the
We
headlines.
just
We
talking.
don't talk about people. That's what the stories say. There's stories. Search the internet. You can find them for yourself. But what we're going to say to wrap up this whole conversation is on this day in history, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. That is history. That is something that you need to know. Those are things that you need to teach your kids. That is information you need to introduce your kids to. When Nuhan and I read a great little John F. Kennedy book. You can introduce your kids to things at the lower level. It doesn't have to be at a high political level because let me tell you, kids do not care about your party affiliation, okay? They just want to be kids. They just need heroes. John F. Kennedy did some great things, and we should respect and always honor that. The end. So, on a funner scale, this show is about hip hop, sports, and we gave you news. But we got to go into hip hop, right?
Mhm.
You were probably too young, but I was old enough to remember mom and her brothers in the hip hop debate, right? So
Mhm.
most people wouldn't believe it, but our mom has always, you know, our mom is a little different. She's like not she's like in between the baby boomers, not baby boomers.
Mhm.
And then, our youngest uncle is like he's just the cool uncle. Like they're old enough to be old, old enough to have been raised with old school values, but young enough to have formed their own ideologies about certain things. Their
Mhm.
oldest brother was older. He was the blues, and he was rock and roll, and he was old school hip hop, and he was a huge Lenny Williams fan. Um, I remember Uncle Johnny having all the records. Do you remember that? He still has his records.
Still
So
got it.
Uncle had all like Rick
Chief.
James.
Chief.
Yeah.
Put on that Rick James. T
Yeah.
17. 17. And see what sex I say. I don't know we supposed to be singing this. Rick.
But legendary, right? Our introduction to music was really early. Uncle Glenn had an 8-track player in his car still. So music was always big. And I remember mom and Uncle Glenn going back and forth about hip hop. Hip hop. He thought it was, he thought it was just noise. Mama and Uncle Johnny enjoyed it. So I remember those conversations, and then having older boy cousins, they were, Big Daddy Kane and Biz Marquee. Rest in love, Biz Marquee, who passed on this year. We got
I'm
the
glad you
early
said that before I said the joke.
we got the early introductions of hip hop, right? On the cutting edge. You came on later, and you guys embraced it differently, right? Because you had access to it. I remember like being able to listen to UGK, and like I said, when Humpty
Spin
Dance came out.
CB.
Yeah. So and then y'all had like more access
So
because you had
what
a cell
is
phone
up?
and the music was there. So now rock and roll and the rest of the world is taking heed to what hip hop is. And
Mm-hmm.
legends Jay Z and LL Cool J were honored last night by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So we gotta salute Jay, Ho, and if you haven't seen the Jeff Jam, the Questlove contribution to Jeff Jam of his introduction, it was amazing. Go back and watch it. Dave Chappelle introduces him for the award, and we gotta talk Jay Z. Mr. Shaw, what was your first introduction to Jay Z? The Hove. Oh, and Barack Obama. President Barack H. Obama introduced Jay Z for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, I thought he got into the Hall of Fame. I said, she don't need sing. I said, bro, you a bad man. You get into the Hall of Fame, you don't need sing. It's a hard knock life. It's a hard knock life.
What was it about
And
Hard Knock Life that got you though?
it was the song, not the album. It was the song. Like it was it was how it hit. It was the kids in the background. It was the beat. It's a hard knock life for us. And then again, I wasn't living a hard knock life, but it was like, dang man, there's somebody really out there. I always feel like I connect to stories or I connect to something, and so it was just like, dang, it's tough. People really like that, and it's kids who really living like that. And for some reason, I always thought differently, and that was my thought. Like, man, it's really some kids living like that. So my thing was like, I like that pain he's spitting. I like that story he telling. I love a great story. So after that, it was like, yeah, I rock with Jay because of the stories he tell. Like, and I think that's what I think when it comes to the new rappers. If you spitting, if you talking about something, I'ma listen. Like I'm gonna tune in. Like it's a rapper named AP named Action Pack. He said, "R.P. to Kobe. I just sold they balls for 24." Now, if you don't know Kobe, you're not gonna get that line, right? So he said
Mm-hmm.
he sold them eight eight of them for 24. That's all I'm saying. I was like, ooh, that was hard. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't know Kobe, he was eight switched to 24. So he put a line in there that mixed with Kobe. I like that. Like young boy. People say whatever they want about it. That young man can spit. That young man made music. And again, yes, a lot of these rappers are making music that promote violence, but that's what they know. They give you their story, and I like it when you give us your story, even if it's even if it's a little rugged. That's your story.
Yeah, Mr. Shaw's Wi-Fi is rugged. You know, his picture went away, but his name is still here. So we are talking. If you're just joining the show, we are talking. Jay Z was honored and introduced into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Dave Chappelle and former President Barack Hussein Obama introduced him. So Mr. Shaw was saying Hard Not Knock Life was his introduction, the beat from Annie. And I can remember, and now that I'm looking, because I like to do the research, I did not realize that originally my Big Pimpin' is probably like where I first was like, okay, okay, I can rock with Jay. But I feel like I was like ingrained in Jay on the Blueprint album. Right, like 100% on the Blueprint album, which I did not realize because albums did used to come out, I think, on that Tuesday. So that Blueprint album actually dropped 9/11. It actually dropped 9/11. Jay Z under Rockefeller and the Blueprint, and so song "Cry."
I'm here. No, it's not your
"Cry" became the anthem. Like that was like it for me. I remember listening to Renegade and just going, okay, this is different because being from the South, I'm a UGK fan, Master P, uh, Juvenile, and Lil Wayne. So Jay Z was a different spin for me. And
Mm-hmm.
the Blueprint album was like really where I was like, okay, I see what the
Blueprint, but
hype is
he
about Jay.
Blueprint he had been the Big Pimpin' though. Big Pimpin' was all by that point.
Right, but I'm just saying, like when I first like really, 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 we used to ride and listen to that like all the time. Every weekend I was here, what were we listening to?
Mm-hmm. Nah, you
So
right for sure.
that's for me. Like I'd heard Big Pimpin', Brandon would play Hard Knock Life, and I was like, I don't like this. But it was like when I really got a chance to sit down and listen to what Jay Z was saying, get the message. His girls was on there. He just had a dope album. Like I said, song "Cry" is like what I resonated with the most as a woman, right? Because like when you being tough and you can't see them coming down your eyes, so I got to make the song cry. That song "Cry" is like one of my faves by Jay Z. Like
I love girl.
absolutely
I go too.
favorite by him.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, Big Pimpin' because UGK was on it, and to go find out that Pimp C didn't even want to record the song. Pimp C wanted nothing to do with it. He didn't want anything to do with the commercialized success, but that's one of UGK's biggest albums. So I had my introduction to Jay Z, but it takes me a while to evolve into hip hop. Like I was saying about Isaiah Stewart, I'm like a delayed reaction type person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else will be jamming this and they'll be going on like Jay Z the Truth, and I'm like, I don't really like him like that. And then I gotta like immerse in it. Like Jay Z was that person. Like I was like, I don't like East Coast music, but you can't not like
Yeah.
East Coast music with Hov. You just there's
Mm-hmm.
something.
He make you like
It's something because there's always a different beat. There's always a different story. There's a connection in the story. It's the verbal delivery of it's how he connects the words. Jordan, Game 6, like they did, ball so hard, dust your shoulders off. Like there's just so many. New York is an anthem. Like we could go on and on with Hov, and then he got with Beyonce, And then my other one is On the Run.
Got the
There's just
American
certain.
Gangster album. He had 2 albums that wasn't nothing, then came back with a whole album. You know what I'm saying? Jay is Jay. And
We can't see
that's
you.
why he
You
got
know
to
that,
do
right?
I
You
mean
faded to black.
my camera on, I don't know what else to do for it.
Oh, you did I thought you was just doing. I thought you were giving a tribute to Jay-Z by fading to black. So that
No,
we
I
couldn't
wasn't doing
see.
that. I ain't know that's what was going on. We gonna
I
rock
mean,
though. That's how
yeah, I felt like it worked, you know. And then also, you know, there's been like these public, you know, spats. Jay-Z has literally had public spats with his former business partner Dame Dash, Kanye West, you know, and he kind of like shouted Dame out because even though we're not what we used to be, what does Rockefeller look like without Dame and Jay-Z?
facts.
You know, so it's a growth in maturity. And I think if you listen to Jay-Z, the evolution, and I think sometimes, you know, I'm not a fan of some of these younger rappers. I listen to NBA Youngboy, but I feel like NBA Youngboy is really like in these kids' heads because they get it too much and they're not separating his reality from their reality.
That's
And
parenting.
sometimes it is the same.
That's parenting.
Yeah, they don't understand
It's
that
my job. It's my job to monitor what you're doing. It's my job
exactly
to make sure you understand the difference. That's on me.
right.
They're entertainers. They got one job: entertain,
And we agree.
entertain, and create.
And the other
It's
thing
Kenny
that
K.
I think,
Lynn. I don't want to start doing jokes and I don't want to tell cheat jokes. Niggas like, man, he telling us to cheat. Like, hold on now. Let's look at my personal life, nigga. That's not what I'm doing. I'm
well,
just
and
having
I
fun.
think it's right. It's an entertainment. It's a story. It's sometimes at that point in your life you can you can actually relate to the story. At other pieces in your life you can't relate to the story. And I think that what people forget about young rappers that Jay-Z allows us to see is the evolution and the growth of a person. What Jay-Z was rapping about 20 years ago is not necessarily it's not what Jay-Z gave us on 444. He didn't give us girls, girls, girls on 444. That's what he gave us in 2001. His last album, he gave us family. He told us the family doesn't win when the family feuds. So it's growth and evolution. We've seen him go from having women's in the videos to him and Beyonce being in the Louvre where people want to go and see the biggest art museum in the world. So there's levels to this. And the fact that Jay-Z has the ability to go into the studio and record in one take goes to tell you his level of genius. Also coming out of the Marcy Projects and becoming a millionaire. That's big. That's big. So salute to Hov and everything that he's done in the business for hip hop. These are 50-year-old rappers now, y'all. LL Cool J and Jay-Z are 50-year-old rappers.
That's major, bro.
Nobody thought hip hop would, you know, Big says it. Nobody thought hip hop would make it this far. And here we are, long after Big, long after Pop. You know, LL Cool J is being honored.
He one of the pioneers of rap.
Yeah, like, when I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall. Like, he was never gangster, right? So everybody has their lane. And I think that's what we love about hip hop. To be a part of the culture and to be who you are. LL gave us sexy lips and, you know, rolled up one leg sweatpants and, you know, high tops with Kango hats and bucket hats.
Sexy lips.
That's what Cool J was known for. LL would lick his Kool-Aid, his cooler lips. Like everything that they said about black people that wasn't cool, black people made it cool.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And that's the reason why hip hop is so powerful. It's so powerful that rock and roll, and Dave Chappelle said, Jay-Z is ours. You know? When you think about LL Cool J, I was wearing some bamboo earrings the other day. Like we had 90s Day at work, and I started singing Around the Way Girl, and the kids was like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you don't know Around the Way Girl? Like that was, you grew up in that era, that's what you know LL, Around the Way Girl. Mama said knock you out. I'm
you
going
know Mama
back
said
to
knock
Cali.
you out.
Cali. I'm going back to Cali.
Don't forget LL Cool J having one of the best TV shows too.
Of course, the
Like, yeah, you'll
crossover
say
effect.
hang with Mr. Cooper was cool, but LL Cool J was one of them guys who just like was yeah.
Hanging with Mr.
His show
Cooper.
was. I'm saying like when you just thinking who else had a show in the '90s
I
that
mean,
was a rapper.
Mr. Cooper wasn't a rapper though.
That I'm saying what other person was like who else? Who else did that? What other he was like the first one to do the crossover.
Yeah, he was like, and then we've seen the rest of them, right? But it goes
Before
to
Los Angeles, before he's on the show that's been on TV almost 22 years, girl.
yeah.
In
What is it?
CIS Los Angeles.
NCIS. Yeah.
Yeah, girl, what you just said?
What are you talking? What did I do wrong? Why are you always coming for me, Mr. Shaw?
You said NCIS? Oh, girl, what's that?
NCIS, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right. Don't try to come for me all the time.
I apologize.
Okay? And if you go back and watch LL Cool J's performance, y'all, I have to back. I want that boombox for my birthday party next year. He had a blinged out boombox. Do you hear me, Mr. Shaw?
I hear you. Bling that boombox for your
A,
birthday.
a blinged out boombox. So before we get out of here, let me just give some people who don't know LL Cool J some of his hits. Like I just told you, going back to Cali, Mama Said Knock You Out, Doing It. Mr. Shaw, you remember Doing It?
Doing it, right?
Doing it and doing it and doing it well.
Representing
Uh,
Queen, she was raised down in Brooklyn. Come on now.
um, All I Have, he performed All I Have with Jennifer Lopez from Jenny from the
That
Block.
was a hit. That
Yeah.
was a hit. We
Around the
talking
Way
about
Girl.
hits.
I just told y'all about Around the Way Girl. I need a Around the Way Girl. I wanted to, like, being young in the 90s, I wanted to, like, grow up in the 90s where I could have bamboo earrings with my name in them. So if you can find me some of those for my birthday, my party next year, I would love those. My name in my bamboo earrings.
It sounds like a
And
40-90 theme.
it is. It's 90 theme. It's a whole thing. And then Hey Lover. Hey Lover, hey Lover. This is
You
more
invite your
than a
daddy to the
crush.
party?
Of course, everybody's invited, right? And we're talking about all of this because
And his girlfriend?
we are the generation of we've grown up in hip hop. We've grown
We
up
definitely.
we've grown up where hip hop. I just read Rakim last year. Rock and
We
roll
grew
is
up with
now
hip
having
hop.
to acknowledge hip hop. And
Hip hop
I'm
was
glad that
kids
you're
when we
doing
were
it.
kids. That's what you
Yeah.
saying?
Well, hip hop was born before me, but it lived on through my childhood. It rose. Like I saw the growth of where you couldn't keep us out of these spaces, right? Because we talk about what Jay-Z was able to do, but I think a lot of people forget what NWA had to do. That the police were shutting down their shows. And then there's Two Live Crew where Uncle Luke had to go in front of the Supreme Court and battle. And 3 6 Mafia had to battle. So hip hop is always going to be exciting for us because we've watched hip hop grow. Like you said, we've grown with hip hop.
Yeah.
We've grown from, I remember mom used to sing 6 o'clock, used to sing 6 minutes Dougie Fresh. Like
Yeah.
from
Oh,
Chuck
she baby
D,
bud.
yeah, Dougie Fresh to LL Cool J and KRS-One to the evolution of Redman and Method Man to Jay-Z being in the Rock and Roll Hall
Wu-Tang.
of Fame, Wu-Tang, like Biz Markie, like I stated, we've got social consciousness to breakdance to the stories of New York on the East Coast to evolution on the West Coast and the West Coast rappers telling us about police brutality long before anybody was having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the stories of the music that make this moment in time so important for someone like Jay-Z and LL Cool J. It's a testament and a salute to the culture of what hip hop is able to do, and the fact that you can't box these. They're not just rappers.
Yeah.
They're not, like you said. LL Cool J is on one of the longest running television series in history. It just keeps going.
Mm-hmm.
But he can still go perform at the American Music Awards like he did last night and do a performance with Eminem, as well as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame be saluted. So shout out to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for saluting Jay-Z, LL Cool J, and even Tina Turner. Y'all, our hour goes so quick. It's time for us to get
Quick.
up out of here for the day. Mr. Shaw faded to black on us early. So this is your girl Candy K. Lynn.
And your boy Shout Time Shout, aka the Fat Mama.
And every Monday you can catch us here on Pull Up the Podcast.
Pull up.
Until next week, we out.
We out.